Am I the asshole for asking my friend if she's pregnant? My M25 friend F23 usually goes to the gym regularly and parties a lot. Lately I've noticed that she stopped drinking entirely, same as smoking, and has stopped heavy lifting and going to the gym as regularly as she used to. On top of that, lately she'll often excuse herself to go to the toilet, presumably to throw up, and I've noticed she got a bit thicker and watery. Don't get me wrong, I'm not jabbing her looks. It's just South I've noticed. Her chest has also noticeably grown. When we were out the other week and I noticed she didn't even touch her Red Bull, I pulled her to the side to have a private conversation and asked her if she's pregnant. She immediately flipped out and denied it. Right after that she went home, and I covered for her when the group asked me why she went home. I texted her later that same night if I overstepped, and she simply replied, "You literally called me fat douchebag." I never did such a thing, but I simply let her be instead of arguing. Today another friend told me she indeed is pregnant, and I don't know what to make of her reaction towards me when I asked her in a 4-eye conversation. Am I the asshole? Edit: for those curious, when I asked her I verbatim said, "I noticed you've been excusing yourself pretty often lately and are avoiding some things. Could it be that you are pregnant?" You're the asshole. That's one of the top 3 questions you never ask a woman. Why is it your business if she's pregnant? She will tell you in her own time. You're the asshole. Also, who calls people watery? Typically pregnant people wait until a certain point in the pregnancy to disclose it, as miscarriages are very common. 25 common. It's not your place to comment on her body. Tons of other reasons why she may be gaining weight. Perhaps she changed her diet. Perhaps she changed her BC. Perhaps she is in fact pregnant. Perhaps she was pregnant and miscarried and is dealing with enough without having your invasive questions added to her burden. Whatever the reason, it's none of your business, so mind yours. If your friend feels like sharing, she would. You're the asshole. Never, ever ask a woman if she's pregnant. You don't know what's going on. She could be dealing with a different health issue. She could be in the middle of a miscarriage. She could be pregnant and not ready to tell anyone. Also, she's right, you noticed changes in her body and made an assumption to explain them. What if she has simply put on weight? Don't comment on women's bodies. Don't ask people if they're pregnant or anything about them having children if they don't offer it up first. Easy rules. Remember them, please. Men and women. Let me make this easy. Has she told you she's pregnant? Yes. Awesome, congratulate and support her. No. Don't. Say a damned thing. I don't know why we still have remind people that it's not their business until it's been made their business. You're the asshole. I've noticed she got a bit thicker and watery. How does someone look watery? You're the asshole. Aside from satisfying your curiosity, exactly what impact does knowing if she is or is not pregnant serve? Not a thing. She is managing what she needs to do just fine. And if she hasn't shared that information, it may be for a very good reason. Many families have histories of early miscarriage, and a lot of folks don't tell anyone until as late as possible because of that. You should have minded your own business. You're the asshole. You don't ask people that. If they want to tell you, they will. If they don't, then it's clear that it's none of your business. Don't put someone on the spot like that. Also, you don't know what's going on in someone's life. What if she had been trying for a really long time and it wasn't happening? Or if she's made lifestyle changes for fertility treatments. What if she was pregnant but lost the baby? As someone who struggled to get and stay pregnant, that question can be triggering. It's not a question to be flippant about. You're the asshole. Suspected pregnancy isn't something you ask or talk about unless you're with a sperm involved. Needing frequent bathroom trips. You don't know she's vomiting. Swelling or unintentional weight gain are also signs of other underlying illnesses. You wait for someone to announce their pregnancy, if they choose to. You're the asshole. People should really stop ever asking that. Unless it's medically necessary. If anyone's pregnant and they want you to know, they'll tell you. You're the asshole. The following are the only acceptable situations to ask a woman if she is pregnant. 1. You are her doctor. 2. You are a nurse working with the doctor doing a basic screening for an appointment. 3. You are a pharmacist asking a client if they are pregnant due to medication concerns. 4. Your friend just told you she is in labor. At this point it is acceptable to say, OMG, are you pregnant? So 24 hours ago you caused your sis to crash car, now you're asking someone if they're pregnant. Karma farmer. You're the asshole. Never ask. If she was, and wanted you to know, she would have told you. You're the asshole. Just in general. Don't ask people if they're pregnant. Even if they're clearly pregnant or wanting to get pregnant. If they haven't said anything yet, there's a reason. Let people tell their own news. You are weirdly stalkery about this friend. You pay way too much attention to what she eats and drinks. How often she goes to the restroom. What she is doing in there. And the size of her breasts. You desperately need to learn some boundaries. I am sure you creeped her out. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. What on earth makes you think you have the right to know something so personal about someone? If she was, and she didn't tell you, that was for a reason. As people, we aren't entitled to know every minute thing about someone's life. You're the asshole. She has the right to tell her friends when she is ready to. It was shitty of you to say anything. It was shitty of your mutual friend to say anything to you confirming it. It doesn't matter why you ask. It's not your business. You're the asshole completely. Never ask a woman if she's pregnant. Hell, don't ask a couple if they are trying. You don't know what she's going through. Do you know what fertility treatments do to a woman's body? It's a hormone overload. Not to mention the stress and grief that can come with trying to get pregnant. Do you know if she wants the baby? Maybe she had a miscarriage. Maybe she's getting an abortion. Not of your damn business. And maybe she has cancer. You don't know. So don't ask. She'll tell people if she wants to tell people. You're the asshole. There are 3 things in life that you need to ask a woman. 1. How old are you? 2. How much do you weigh? 3. Are you pregnant? You're the asshole. You literally could have just said, I noticed you've stopped drinking and smoking. Is everything okay? Instead of leading in with pregnancy. It's possible she was still processing it and you caught her off guard. But it's none of your business to be asking that. You're 25 and should know that asking women if they are pregnant isn't cool. You're the asshole. You never, ever, can I say this enough times? Ask a woman if she's pregnant. It's invasive and actually none of your business. Your screw up is one of the reasons why you don't ask someone that personal information. If you're worried about her health, then you ask if her health is okay. You don't imply she must be pregnant because she's fat and throwing up. Never, ever ask a person if they are pregnant. You're the asshole. Am I the asshole? For freaking out when my wife locked our son out of the house at night after he drank alcohol. I am 39, have a 16-year-old son with my wife F40. This incident happened a few days ago and she's still mad at me. I was on a work trip so my wife was at home with our son. When I got back, I found out that he had been hanging out with his friends and they convinced him to drink some beer. And he got a little drunk. I'm not saying what he did was right. But him and I had a talk about it and it's fine. The problem is that when he came home and my wife found out, she was furious and kicked him out and refused to let him back in until the morning. He was begging her to let him but she wouldn't. When I found out, I was furious. Regardless of what he did, she made a slightly drunk teenager stay outside by himself at night. Something very bad could have happened to him. We had a huge argument over it. I asked her how the hell she thought that was okay. She just kept saying that it's our son's fault for drinking alcohol. My wife isn't really talking to me now and my son isn't talking to his mom. I feel like I'm in the right. But maybe I'm not. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. No matter if he was a little drunk or very drunk. He's a vulnerable minor and I would not leave him outside. There are a lot of other ways of setting high expectations and disciplining a kid. Child neglect isn't one of them. You two need to talk and get on the same page as far as discipline goes so you have a set of consequences and rules you are both comfortable with. Your wife denied your child shelter at night while he was intoxicated. She endangered your kid. Not the asshole, and I have to ask your wife the following: what the fuck is wrong with you? Not the asshole. His mother has just ensured that he will never call her for help for anything if he needs it. And in saying that, I really hope he understands that he can call you because kids do dumb shit and he needs to know he has someone who isn't going to hate him for making a mistake. Good job. In case he ever does it again, she's made it that he will ride with a friend who may be drunk as he knows he can't call her for a ride. Well done, mother. Talk about stupid. Not the asshole. He is not the first 16-year-old to show up at home drunk. Giving him a lecture is fine. Locking him outside is not. He is a minor. Safety should still be considered. That is one of your tasks as a parent. Not the asshole. The safest place for him would have been inside with a mother taking care of him while admonishing him for being an inebriated teenager. Not the asshole. One of Paul Bernardo's victims was grabbed after she was locked out of the house for breaking curfew. Extreme example, yes, but there are better ways to make a point than locking a teen out of the house. Great. Now your son will drink behind her back and will not return home out of fear for her reaction if he's too drunk, or call her. He might not even call you when he's too drunk in case you tell her. Good job, Mom. You're not the asshole. Not the asshole. Leslie Mahaffey, a victim of serial killers Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka, was locked out of her house by her parents the night they kidnapped her. They took turns making videos of them raping and torturing her for days before they killed her. Have your wife research that case and I bet she never locks him out again. Not the asshole. This is actually considered child abuse in a lot of areas, so you should probably check that and have a serious conversation with your wife. My parents did it to me once when I was 16 and that shit stuck with me my whole life. Never forgave them for it. Not the asshole. Your son made a mistake with your wife's reaction. He is likely to never tell her anything ever again. She has just destroyed the bond of trust he had. She needs some counseling to try and work this out. Good luck. Wow. Your wife is a drama queen. Kick her out of the house for a night for flipping out over a teenager drinking beer. Yikes. Not the asshole. Neither is your son. Teenagers do stupid shit. It is their job. Not the asshole. He's 16. Leaving him out all night was child neglect. As a mom myself, I would rather my teen child call me and ask me to come pick him up completely drunk than not feel like I am their safe place. Even though they did something they shouldn't have. You can be disappointed without being abusive. Not the asshole. Your wife is, though. As a parent, your wife is tar. And just a horrid parent. What did she think were the possible outcomes, short-term and long-term, of kicking her son out while impaired? It's ludicrously stupid. Just because she couldn't handle her feelings about him doing something predictably wrong. Not the asshole. And she's caused long-term harm. Not the asshole. Tell your wife to look up Paul Bernardo in Ontario. He and his wife are evil. Murdering people. They tortured and killed 2 girls and the wife's own sister. One of the girls that was murdered was 16 and locked out by her parents one night to teach her a lesson. She was taken by them and dead 3 days later. You and your wife do not want to have that guilt on you. Google Leslie Mahaffey. Your wife needs to consider if she wants a son or a funeral. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. My daughter pulled the same stunt at 16. She stayed at a friend's house and they polished off a bottle of vodka. She initially claimed flu the next day but soon confessed. I did one of the worst things I've done to her. I laughed. I was glad she was honest, but the hangover was more punishment than I could deliver. She's not had that much alcohol since and starts grad school in September. Not the asshole. Your wife is a maniac. Who hasn't had their teen come home drunk? Its safest place who be the inside of his home. Not the asshole. What your wife did was criminal and she could be put in jail for child abuse, neglect and potentially lose custody of him. Not the asshole. Bare minimum of being a parent is not kicking your child out of the house. And she couldn't even do that. Your wife is the tar. This is unbelievably dangerous and a swell way for you son to never trust your wife. Not the asshole. Wow. Your wife completely overreacted and put your son at risk. Keep fighting the good fight. Wow. This is abusive neglect on her part. I always thought parents would want their children to be safe and being able to trust their parents so that they could turn to trustworthy adults if they need help or in danger. Long story short, why does your wife want to see your son dead? Not the asshole, of course. Not the asshole. Mom fucked up big time. Not the asshole. Kids have died from their parents locking them out of the house like this. Not the asshole. And if my wife did something like that to my son, I'd be getting an attorney. Just saying. Not the asshole. He made a mistake. He's still your kid and deserves to be safe at home. Horrible. I'm with you and son 100. I hope you're the dad who he feels he can call when he's got no sober ride home. BC he's not gonna call mom. This was very bad judgment on her part. Not the asshole. In tar, there are way better punishments for underage drinking. Locking him out is not one of them. Would I be the asshole if I pranked my coworkers who keep asking my ethnicity? Context: I am ethnically ambiguous. A lot of people make assumptions about my ethnicity, religion, and what language I speak because of this. And it leads to some uncomfortable questioning. I have black really curly long hair. And dark eyes and fairly tan skin. And my name is somewhat ambiguous. My family is Middle Eastern but Christian. As a result, there is often confusion when people try to pinpoint my identity. I work in a very multicultural office in the US in what is a predominantly white industry. As such, many of my coworkers have tried to figure out what minority group within the company I fall into, perhaps attempting to see if I am the same as them. Every couple of days I have a different coworker asking if I am insert ethnicity here. One time I was asked to plan Cinco de Mayo celebrations by the CEO's assistant because they assumed I was Mexican. Another time a coworker came up to me and immediately started speaking fast-paced Tagalog and only stopped when I stopped them and told them I was not Filipino and did not understand him. He apologized and moved on. These are only two examples of many. I also repeatedly get asked if I am Muslim and why I don't do or follow various rules, cultural practices associated with Islam. I know they don't mean any harm, it is a lot though. When I've told my friends about this, a couple of them suggested that I start getting miniature flags from a bunch of different countries and start switching out the miniature flag I put on display in my cubicle every couple days. I only worry that this would be rude or seen as insensitive. So would I be the asshole for purposely confusing my coworkers with a prank for continually asking about my ethnicity? When I've told my friends about this, a couple of them suggested that I start getting miniature flags from a bunch of different countries and start switching out the miniature flag I put on display in my cubicle every couple days. Not the asshole. Start with Sweden. Oh. I would absolutely starting being as confusing as humanly possible. Pepper your speech with slang from different languages. Bring all different kinds of foods to work. Listen to all different kinds of music. Mildly hint to different people that you might be from different places without ever actually stating it outright. And if someone say something like, "But aren't you Mexican? Aren't you Muslim?" just say solemnly, "Wow. I'm really hurt that you know so little about me," and walk away. Not the asshole. My husband gets the same whenever we travel and often when we meet new people. Can I also suggest hanging one of those scratch-off maps in your office cubicle? Then scratch off all the countries of origin you've been mistaken for Mexican. The Philippines. Anywhere else that has come up. Keep scratching when a new one arises. I'd be petty and stop someone mid-conversation to scratch if they said something new. I'd also be extra petty and write in bold letters above it. Wrong guesses only. No. I think you're okay doing a harmless prank like that. Frankly. The only R here is your CEO's assistant. Total ass for making you plan a celebration just because you look Mexican. WTF is their problem? Not the asshole. But holy microaggressions. Batman, your workplace environment sounds exhausting. I can totally understand why you would want to mess with people this way. Also, when I first saw flags, I thought you were going to say the coworker was going to tell you to hold up a red flag every time one of your colleagues did something inappropriate. That would also be funny to me. Cold sweat smile. As long as you aren't offended by all their assumptions, use them for your advantage. Start celebrating every holiday. Get some extra time off. You wouldn't be tar for the prank, but the prank seems stupid. You would be intentionally confusing your coworkers for your own amusement, and that's not kind. Think of a different prank. Or contact HR about your concerns. Or just be more forthcoming with your ethnicity. Note if you feel uncomfortable or fear negative retaliation. I'm not saying you have to do that nor flaunt the truth in their face. Just something to consider. Tell them you're Mandalorian. Not the asshole. Put up a display with multiple flags. For every nationality you've been asked about. If someone asks you about a new nationality, put the new flag up. I'm a mixed girl from the US, so I feel this be hard. Personally, I wouldn't do the flag thing but rather respond differently when these things happen. I got so sick of people doing this that I now respond with the breakdown of my European genetics. X50 Irish or whatever, or what state I was born in, just so they admit they wanna know what kind of brown I am. But if you're genuinely getting bothered at work, it seems like a sensitivity training is in order. Lol, not the asshole. That's pretty funny. I mean, why not just tell them and avoid the drama? I continually am baffled by people refusing to act professional at work. Being a Middle Eastern Christian is not ethnically ambiguous. There are millions of us XD. It seems like a harmless enough prank. Probably wouldn't see you as an R. But you're also being a little unclear whether if you consistently evade answering those questions. If someone confuses you for something else, do you respond with, "No, I'm actually X"? Or do you just leave it a mystery? I mean, if you have an issue with sharing your ethnicity with people, you're under no obligation to. But I'd imagine that is even more exhausting. YWBTA for pranking them. You are considering going through all the trouble to play a prank, yet you could put an end to all of it with one sentence. I am of Middle Eastern descent and my family are Christians if you really need to know. Or if you were truly bothered by the inquiries, you could have simply said, "My heritage and religion are irrelevant in the workplace and I prefer to keep my personal life personal." You seem to be the one fueling the interest by acting mysterious. YWNBTA, this would be hilarious. And people need to learn to mind their own business anyway. Just tell people that you're half Scotch and half soda. Info: your county workers are violating US HR regulations. Though you might not be in the US. Even if you were Mexican, why would you automatically be volunteered to plan our Cinco de Mayo celebration? Since this is work, I don't think tricking them with different flags is the right way to go. They are being rude, so the best course of action would be to ask them to stop making assumptions. And stop asking you about it. You don't seem to want to disclose your ethnicity and don't have to. As a stealth Latino, I feel you. I love the rotating flag idea. Or maybe swag from different nations' football teams, not the asshole. I don't really see the point in intentionally trying to confuse your co-workers about anything. It's none of their business what your ethnicity is. Just leave it at that. Why play games? It just seems like you enjoy causing drama, but it won't help you get along in the workplace. Maybe you don't care. IDK. It all seems kind of childish. Alternatively, you could ask them why they need to know. Or tell them the truth. Or tell them it's none of their damn business. YWBTA justified. But still tar. Grown-ups use their words. Am I the asshole for asking my wife to wake me up at night when our newborn wakes up? My wife and I just had our third child 1 month ago, 4 weeks. For the first week or two my wife had to wake him up every couple hours to feed him, but now we just let him sleep until he wakes up to eat. Here's where that becomes a problem. I am a really heavy sleeper. There is nothing that can wake me up short of being attacked by a bear or shaken or something. It's been that way since way before my wife and I had kids. Babies crying or screaming do not wake me up. They didn't even when we had our first, so usually I've woken up when my wife turns on the lights. For changing and stuff like that. Apparently I sleep through a lot when my wife is getting up a lot. So she is saying she does an unfair amount of work at night because of it. I feel bad because I recognize that if I'm asleep I'm not contributing to the night stuff. So I asked my wife to wake me up when the baby wakes up. And she told me that made it so much worse and that it was like weaponized incompetence. She just doesn't want to wake me up for some reason. I am not weaponizing my heavy sleep against her. I just want her to wake me up so I can help. But like I said, she said that makes it worse. And now she's mad. Am I the asshole? For asking to wake me up so I can help with the night stuff for our newborn. Look up vibrating baby monitors for deaf parents. Wear the bracelet. Info so nothing short of a bear attack wakes up. But her turning the lights on also does. Which is true. And when she turns the lights on for changing, do you get up and help? I've tried literally nothing. Not even a Google search. Am I the asshole? That's how you sound. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. What would you do if she became ill and went into hospital or stayed away from home to care for a sick relative? Let the baby starve. Get yourself some sort of monitor and have it close and loud so it wakes you up. Why should she sacrifice never getting a single night's rest? You're selfish. And I can't believe it's taken her 3 babies to finally realize perhaps she's worth a full night's sleep from time to time. It's an extra task. I can understand her frustration. You are asking her to do more. Perhaps you can sleep near the baby. Dude. I'm surprised she had a second with you. Let alone a third. What would you do if she had died in childbirth? Have your mum come over and wake you up. Your weaponized incompetence is not your sleeping. It's asking your wife to do a task that there are actual solutions for. Hey genius. How do deaf parents hear their babies cry? I would love you to do some actual work and look that up, but Redditors will do it for you. Baby monitors linked to bed pillow shakers or watch alarms. You're the asshole and a whiny mare, but I'm trying one to boot. Bless your sweet wife. You're the asshole. By the time your wife wakes you up, she's going to be wide awake and pushed off even more. Find a way to make it up to her. Not expect her to wake you up. Maybe on the weekend sleep in the nursery and take care of the baby. Something. Info how do you get up for work? You're the asshole. I'm a heavy sleeper too. There was once a car accident in our front yard. The police and fire department came. I slept through it. But I always heard my children crying. And apparently when something is bothersome to you, such as your wife shaking you or turning on the light, you manage to wake up. That means you are tuning out the baby and forcing her to do all late night duties. That's got to be infuriating. I'm a mother to a young child and I'm like you, struggled to wake up for baby. Hubby was doing 95 of the night stuff. What we did was take shifts. I would sleep on the couch with the baby monitor next to my head, so if she woke up I wasn't in a deep sleep and could tend to her. Then at say 1 a.m. I'd go to bed and then hubby was on duty. This allowed him to sleep. I then got my deep sleep once in bed but was awake enough to hear baby, so he wasn't doing it alone. You're the asshole. I have a partner who is a heavy sleeper. Every once in a while I do have to wake him up. I either get lying partner who will take to nay and do everything trick in the book to stay asleep, or grouchy angry partner who is not awake but is very unhappy they are not asleep. It is not worth it for me to ever wake my partner. I have no idea if you have those sleep personas. But if you do, it's far easier to let you wake up on your want by turning on a light than it is to be the person who is waking you up. Get a Pavlok shock clock. It literally zaps you, vibrates, and beeps. Your wife can download the app and zap awake from her phone. I bought one because I'm a heavy sleeper and my GF didn't appreciate me sleeping through multiple phone alarms on full blast. It's not a perfect solution as your wife would still be woken up. But it's better than having to physically shake you awake. As a parent of a young baby, you're the asshole. Not because you are a heavy sleeper but because her having to wake you up to tend to the baby defeats the purpose of you being on duty. What's hard about multiple night wakings is three things. 1. The anticipation that you would be woken up multiple times. 2. Tending to the baby. 3. Trying to fall back asleep again before the next wake. Her having to wake you up arguably means she's also experiencing 1. 3. So find a way. Vibrating monitors. Monitors next to your head pillow. Find a way so your wife can be truly off duty. YTA. It's on you to find ways to balance this parenting gap instead of placing even more on mom's already overloaded plate. My grandma said to get really good with a sharp knee kick to the spouse's back in those situations. I'm not saying she did that. But I'm not saying it wasn't 100 her style either. The baby monitor for the deaf is far kinder to your back. That sounds like a great solution for you to try. YTA. It sounds good in theory. But in reality, all you're doing is giving your wife one more thing to do. Can you take the first feeding and diaper change of the morning? You're the asshole if you haven't researched ways to solve the problem. Your wife is not being unreasonable. Trying to wake you up at night could be so frustrating that it makes it difficult for her to go back to sleep quickly. You're the asshole. Your solution is just more work for her. That's why she's mad. It's on you to get yourself sorted. Plenty of people sleep like the dead. I'm one. But when your baby is screaming, you get up. Your wife has always been there, so you've not had to make yourself. There's plenty of help and appliances out there that aren't your wife. You have a newborn. You're both exhausted. Mama even more so. I see nothing wrong with her slugging you awake when the little one needs their 3 a.m. bottle and diaper changed. You acknowledged you're a heavy sleeper. Your wife is just beyond exhausted, so I wouldn't read too much into it. Manda, I miss those early years of endless cuddles. Try sleeping in the room with the baby. Absolutely, you're the asshole even making that request. She's already gonna be losing sleep and stressed tending to an infant. She does not need to waste her time trying to rouse you from a dead sleep unless it's an emergency. You're the asshole. You're still putting work on her versus finding solutions to help more. Like vibrating bracelets that go off when baby cries, etc. How do you wake up for work? Will you wake up to an alarm clock? I would be beyond annoyed if I had to ask my partner to help. What would you do if she was out of town or traveling for work or something? Let the baby starve. Am I the asshole for not watching my nieces and nephews at my house? Throw away to avoid family stuff. I am 32, have been with my girlfriend F29 for 8 years. From the very beginning we have been child-free. My girlfriend isn't a big fan of kids. And while I love being the fun uncle, I love being able to give them back. Some background: my girlfriend is incredibly introverted and suffers from anxiety. Because of this, she is definitely a homebody and prefers hanging out at home with our 2 dogs. She likes things quiet and calm and definitely thinks of the house as her safe space. I completely respect that. I watch my 2 nephews and my niece, 7, 5, and 3, once in a while for my sister and brother-in-law. I always go over to their house to watch the kids. Partially because all their stuff and toys are there and it's just easier. And because I know my girlfriend wouldn't enjoy having them over at the house. Plus she didn't agree to watch them, so that wouldn't be fair. We've had some really lovely weather lately and my sister and Bill have been asking me to take the kids over to my place to watch them instead. They live in a townhome and don't have much of a yard, while we are pretty lucky and have a pretty large backyard. I've offered to take the kids to the park instead if they want some outside time. Neither my sister or Bill like this much. They say that they would rather have the kids in a safer fenced-in yard to run around and play than at a public park. It all came to a head this past weekend. My Bill called and asked if I was available to watch the kids. I told him sure, that wouldn't be a problem. He, politely at first, asked if he could drop the kids off with me for a change. I told him no, I would come to them. He got a little frustrated and said the kids really needed some fresh air and to get their energy out. I said okay, we can go to the park. He exploded at me and told me I was an asshole for never letting the kids come over. He said never mind, he didn't want me to watch them because I was too selfish. Not the asshole. You're providing a service. No one is entitled to your service or your home. And the whole weirdness about public parks is just weird. Choosy beggar called you selfish. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's your home. And your girlfriend's home. And you're showing her respect by not babysitting there. Taking the kids to a park is a reasonable solution. Maybe your city likes to build playgrounds in the middle of the road. But most public parks I've seen put the playgrounds plenty far away from the roads. Your Bill is trying to make this into a power play. It's not really about your fenced-in yard or whatever. It's about control. Don't give in or you'll never get the ability to say no back. Not the asshole. Your alternative suggestion of going to the park is a good one. Unless the parks where you live are really unsafe for some weird reason. I can understand not wanting 3 kids running around at a public park with only one adult to keep an eye on them all. But they don't get to dictate how you agree to help. They can ask. But demanding is a no-go. Maybe suggest that one of their parents joins you for a test visit to the park. So they could see how you're able to keep a good eye on all 3. Not the asshole. Yes. Incredibly selfish of you to have any boundaries while offering him free child care. Your Bill is acting unbelievably entitled and he's in for a very rude awakening when he finds out how much it's going to cost him to start using a daycare service or a babysitter nanny instead of having you come over. Not the asshole. You are watching his kids and he is complaining. The kids are more comfortable at their own home. Tell him it is not an option. Your home is not available. Not the asshole. Your GF needs a safe home. Good that you are holding your point. Not the asshole and not selfish. They want on-call free babysitting on their terms. He was rude and self-centered. Hold your boundary. His exploding temper is not acceptable. You have been an available fun uncle and this is how you are treated. Not the asshole you are agreeing to babysit their kids out of their house. Not run a daycare out of yours. If you watching the kids at their house doesn't work for them, they should find someone else to do it. And if they're angry that the 5 of them are in a townhouse instead of having a house with a yard, then that's on 'em to fix that. Not the asshole. You're helping family out, but now family think they get to determine how. No. Not the asshole. You're doing awesome and clearly care for both these kids and your girlfriend. Bill is inconsiderate and can kick rocks. Not the asshole. It's your home and your decisions. Not the asshole. They can't take their own kids outside. What assholes. Especially since it sounds like you babysit for free. I think it may be a power play against the girlfriend. They may have a problem with her being introverted and taking her need to have her home as a safe, quiet space as an insult. So they are pushing up to allow their kids into her space cause they are petty. Just a thought. Not the asshole, and your BIL's reaction seems really disproportionate. Not the asshole. You offered a solution and your girlfriend is entitled to feeling safe and comfortable in your home. It's not like you're avoiding the kids or refusing to help your Bill. I do wonder if your sister and Bill know about your girlfriend's feelings. Not the asshole, but have you told them why you don't want to have them over? It's ridiculous that your Bill thinks his kids have a right to infringe upon your space when you're doing him a favor. But maybe it would help smooth things over if you said, I'm not refusing to have them come over because of something personal about you or them. Our house isn't kid-proof and my girlfriend likes our house to be a private space. If he still has an issue with your completely reasonable rules, then he can feel free to watch his own kids. The people who object to your boundaries are usually the ones who would benefit from you not having them. Not the asshole. In the end, these are their children. But that doesn't take away that you will do things the way you do things at your house. That being said though, they're still their children. You're not the asshole. Your Bill is though with the way that he handled the situation in the end. You are not obligated to take care of his children. Not the asshole. I'm guessing they want you to watch them so they can have quiet in their home for adult activities. But you're still not the asshole for not wanting them in your home. Your Bill is a giant dick for exploding at you for not doing him a favor his way. Not the asshole. Why are they so obsessed with you watching the kids at your place? Do they not like your girlfriend? It's wild to me that your Bill would call you selfish when you were doing him a favor by watching the kids. Not the asshole. Just a prediction, but he will be asking you to watch the kids again. If this is the straw that broke the camel's back, it actually was broken a long time ago. If he is not aware of your GF issue, he should know, but after 8 years together, I bet he knows. He's the R. But again, no one cuts off babysitting service because of this. In fact, it's no longer babysitting when they come to you, but rather daycare. If the parents wanted some alone time in their house, they could ask the uncle to take them to the movies or pay for an activity that lasts more than a couple of hours. This is the parents' responsibility to communicate and figure out. It is super entitled to expect the uncle to take them to his house, regardless of what reason he has for not wanting them over. Am I the asshole for having my neighbor's car towed and causing her to lose her job? About a year ago, a new neighbor moved in next to me. She does not have a driveway and I do. So she has to park her car on the street. Occasionally, I would see her car parked in front of my driveway. Usually I would just park on the street and not say anything. Or I would go and ask her to move her car. This went on for a few months. And she eventually got a parking ticket for parking in front of my driveway and stopped blocking my driveway entirely. In May, my neighbor was parking her car in front of my driveway again. I asked her again to please not block my driveway. She said she would make no promises because she didn't know how to park on the street. I told her that she needed to learn how to park better because she lived in a neighborhood where that was the only option for most people. And that it wasn't my problem that she didn't know how to parallel park. She got extremely angry and all of the goodwill between us stopped after that argument. At the beginning of July, she started a new job where she had to work nights. And our schedules were now totally opposite of one another. I would come home and her car would always blocking my driveway. And when I went to leave for work in the morning, her car would always be blocking my driveway. After about a week of not being able to access our driveway, I asked my husband and he said it would be best to just let it be because working nights is stressful and she's probably under a lot of stress starting a new job. I didn't agree with this, but I kept my cool. About 2 weeks ago, I got home from a bad day of work very angry and decided to do something about it. I called the police and let them know that someone was blocking my driveway. They said they would send out a tow truck to have the car moved. The tow truck driver began to pick up the car. And as this was happening, my neighbor ran out screaming and begging with the tow truck driver to not take it because she would lose her job. I felt no regret. She was doing something illegal and had already got a ticket for this once before. She had her warning. The tow truck driver just told her it would be $800 to pick up the car from the city lot. This whole time she was saying some pretty mean things to me. Calling me names, calling my husband names, and threatening us. I have not seen the car on the street ever since. A few days ago, I saw her outside and she began screaming at me, telling me that she lost her job. I said that I was sorry for what happened, but that it was her fault for blocking my driveway. My husband and I talked about it. And he said that while he was on my side, he felt that I was an asshole for getting her car towed and making her lose her job, and that we should at least pay her the $800 to get her car back. I'm not sure if they added on extra fees for storing the car for this long now. And I don't think we should pay her anything. Because I had already tried being nice once before and it didn't work out. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Do not pay for her car to get unimpounded. You'll basically be giving her a pass to continue to park in front of your driveway. She will see this as you admitting guilt even though you are not, and will continue her entitled behaviors. All of this is 100% her own fault because she failed to take the time to learn how to parallel park. She had been talked to politely, ticketed, and talked to again, and yet she still chose to park in front of your driveway. The only thing I would have done was verbalize the next time you block my driveway. I'm calling the cops. We should at least pay her the $800 to get her car back. Lol, no. Not the asshole. You told her multiple times not to block the driveway. She received a ticket for blocking your driveway. She eventually was towed. If you had gotten her towed the first time it happened, you might be an R. But you tried every reasonable solution possible before involving the authorities. Her refusal to learn to parallel park, it's not that hard, is not your problem. Her refusal to not block your driveway is what led to her losing her job. Not the asshole. And what the F is wrong with your husband for willingly forking over $800? She had multiple warnings not only from you but also in form of a wake-up call aka ticket, and still insisted on doing the wrong thing. In my book she had it coming. Not the asshole. This entire situation is your neighbor's fault. Who thinks it's okay to park in front of someone else's driveway? Not the asshole. On another note is your husband banging her. Because forking out $800 to someone who's been rude, disrespectful and continuously causing you inconvenience is just not normal. Not the asshole. She knew she was preventing you from accessing your car. You'd asked her nicely many times not to block the driveway. And she knew it was illegal since she'd already gotten a ticket. Starting a stressful job isn't an excuse. We all have stress in our lives, but we shouldn't use that to justify taking advantage of others or making someone else's life more difficult. I wonder how many times you missed work or plans because you couldn't access your vehicle. And she just didn't even care. Not the asshole, but your husband obviously doesn't have your back if he thinks you should pay $800 for something that was her own doing and she had plenty of warnings over. Not the asshole. She deliberately continued blocking access to your home after several requests to stop. Working days or nights has nothing to do with her choice to park illegally in my country. It's illegal to block a driveway that is not your own. Emergency services needs access to your home. Because emergencies. Not the asshole. FAFO. You gave her many opportunities to change her behavior. Hell, the city even gave her one too. She didn't. And now she can bear the consequences of her actions. If she didn't want to risk losing her job, she should have legally parked her car. And, respectfully, your husband needs to grow a pair. Not the asshole, but why is your husband so keen on helping this lady out? The first time you complained about her blocking your way and inconveniencing you, he was more concerned with her well-being and being stressed out with a new job. And now that you had her towed, your husband wants to help her with money to get her car. Call me cynical, but I would pay more attention to how your neighbor and husband act around each other. I have a feeling he's been the one telling her it's okay to keep parking there. Not the asshole. She didn't care if she was blocking you from going to work and potentially getting fired. She brought this on herself. What is wrong with your husband? Is he sleeping with her or just a complete doormat? Because him suggesting that you guys pay $800 for her car when she is in the wrong is insane to me. Saying he wished you hadn't called is one thing. But seriously, not the asshole. Not the asshole, this is on her. She is an adult. Being an adult is knowing not to do shit you're not supposed to do, and when you do that shit, take the consequences. She was rude. You asked her not to, she does it anyway. Tell your husband if he gives her the money to get her car, then he is siding with a stranger over his wife, and you will know where his loyalties lie. If he does this, I really be concerned, because I would think something is going with the two of them. Because he should not care what happened, she was warned. Not the asshole, you should have done it the first time it happened. If talking to the neighbor didn't work, how dare she restrict your access to your own property? That is absolutely outrageous. Not the asshole, and your husband sounds like a wuss. Not the asshole, you tried talking. She was being an a-hole, so she has got what she deserved.